so very much. Please feel free to take your seats. Apologies for that loud noise. We were trying something and it did not succeed.
That was me. Sorry.
Yeah, it was Dan. So everyone blame Dan. This is a space of negativity and shame. And that's what we specialize in here at Assembly in Atlanta. That is incorrect. That was a lie. My name is Ross Llewellyn. Some of you may know me. I am the president of Assemblies in Atlanta, and I am so glad to see all of you lovely people here at one of our monthly assemblies, and to just continue to fiddle with this until the end of time. I would love to know if anybody here is here for the first time at Assemblies. Can I get a raise of hands? Can we give them a hand? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for coming. So we are Sunday Assembly Atlanta. Our theme this evening is a token of gratitude, and if you are maybe not lucky, if you just want one, you may receive a token of gratitude before you leave here today. Sunday Assembly Atlanta is a secular community without deity, dogma, or doctrine. We want to help people live better, help often, and wonder more in this one life that we know we have. And I think all of us, are so glad to have folks come join us on this Sunday evening. So at Sunday Assemblies, we like to have people share stories, we like potluck afterwards, but we're definitely going to have music. And I would love to invite the band up here to start us off with a couple songs. We like to celebrate life, we like to have fun, and so I think there's going to be a nice collection of stuff that just is Sunday Assembly through and through, in love and life. So okay, everybody's coming up here. It's a full crew, which is rad. So I'm going to toss it over to Jared to, I guess, intro songs and get people going. Sound good?
Yeah.
Excellent. Adios.
You need this. You need that. You need that.
Okay, y'all, everyone will stand up for this.
Yes.
Starting off with one that we do submit frequently here, so everyone should know it. Everyone should have no excuse not to sing along. Dan's going to kick us off here.
Thank
want to stay standing because it is easier to sing while you're standing. And we're going to sing. That last one was one we do kind of often. This next one's going to be a new one. But y'all need to help me sing along here. And you may ask yourself, will there be a test? Yes. But it's really easy. Teach the chorus. Just repeat after me. Don't worry. Let's try that again. Don't worry.
Don't worry
About a thing.
about a thing.
'Cause every little thing gonna be alright.
Little thing gonna be alright.
Sing don't worry about a thing.
About a thing.
'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. You will get the hang of it. You will get the hang of it. And you will be joining me by the end of this. I promise. Comes from Jamaica, huh? Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. Sing don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Worry about a thing, every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Get it on. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Thank you.
Thank you very much, band. You have now earned your well, you've earned your break.
For now.
Yeah, for now. So hello, thank you very much for coming. I also wanted to share a couple of reflections upon the theme of this evening. And I meant to actually bring these up. This photo in the background here are of 2 challenge coins that I received in my work. Has anybody here heard of challenge coins? Yeah, just say, okay, you bet you would. Okay, yeah, so some folks have. And I thought this was appropriate for this assembly and this theme, because challenge coins they come from this military origin about like recognizing and sharing like this earned like respect and gratitude for an action undertaken or for like joining a group. And there's a lot of associated traditions with them. The notable one that I know about is about coin checking at bars. And you are encouraged to always have, a coin or the coin with you at all times. And if you don't, and someone does a coin check, well, then you have to pay for all the beer in the group. And they're also given in kind of a handshake, like you put it in your palm and palm it to them, right? And I hope I'm telling this right. Are I getting this right? Okay. I really like them because they're creative. They're, at least in the military context, right? There's creativity in a very regimented environment, so it's a way of kind of like having like this group cohesion, and having cool art like crows that I don't know if it's a fedora. I know hats are very particular, but it's a very cool hat with lightning bolts. And it's worth asking, what grand challenge did I overcome to receive these 2? And it is that I was on Edwards Air Force Base for a test event and they were selling them. So, yes, so I felt like that was an accomplishment. Anyway. And I like them because, again, we're talking about a token of gratitude, right? And so even in a space where you don't associate like a lot of emotion necessarily, it finds its way in there as well. And of course, this idea has expanded well beyond just the military. In fact, a podcast network I really enjoy, they also have coins that they did a whole episode about these things, and now a bunch of people who like certain shows, they have coins that they can pull out to impress their friends and say, hey, I support this network. And perhaps at the end of this, folks can have a coin for themselves that they appreciate. Thank you for indulging me in some reflections. So, this assembly, we're going to have not just one big speaker, we're going to have a pair of folks sharing, stories from their lives about something that inspires them to think about gratitude. And the first person who's going to be coming up is Ray, who's way back there, way in the back, in that rocking chair.
It's a very comfy chair.
It is true. Now, thankfully, she's going to come up on the stage, and you're not going to have to all turn around and watch her in the rocking chair, although that would have been really good. No, please continue to come up onto the stage. So let's give her a hand. Thank you.
Talk about being grateful for men like this one. Dear Lord, I see some of how much running around he does to keep Sunday Assembly going, to go and volunteer. Like, I set up a volunteer event. He was actually the point man because I don't like going outside. So he went and planted trees and got that dirt thing all over him. Awful. And for that, I give you some failure.
Goodness. This is super duper cool, and I really, really appreciate it. I've seen you make these, and you share them on social media. Oh man. Okay. So this is going to go sit by the computer for all to see.
I will now release you.
Okay. Oh man.
All right, so my sense of time is horrendous. Who wants to be my timekeeper? Who wants to keep an eye on the time and make sure that we're not here until Tuesday? Anyone? All right, it's on your own. How long?
Oh no.
12 years.
45 minutes.
I would find fanfics for that fandom, and I would read about it and be like, oh, that captured the characters really well. Or, oh god, no, back button. And what happened was, through that, I learned about writing. I learned about creativity. I made connections with people that started in 2005, actually. I now have a friend in Wisconsin. I found the comments I left on her fanfic. The cringe was real. And we are friends to this day who have never spoken on the phone. We exchange letters. She's the only person who can buy me jewelry sight unseen that I like. My mom can't even do it, so that's just like. And as I read her fanfic, I learned about my own writing. Oh, some of you may have me on Facebook and be subjected to my essays on, well, this one lyric made me think of a thing. A lot of that came from her specific fanfic. It also got into online dating because I learned you have to wade through a lot of trash to find the treasures because there are a lot of self-insert fics and they have their place, but. And what the fanfics eventually taught me is that it's a sad thing, but art in our culture now has to have value. That little deer right there. Most people, when they see it or see me making them, ask how much I sell them for. They don't ask how I learned that skill. They don't ask about the fun I have. The thought is immediately, how much do you make from this? I'm a dilettante. I know, not how to say that word, but I know a lot of skills for the sake of skills. I can make chainmail. I can do basic leather work. I can write a haiku, sometimes, and a number of other things.
Good haiku are.
So they are. So they are. I can do a number of things that I learned just to learn. I know sword fighting. I know boxing. I'm not going to make money off any of those. And how often did I hear, oh, what are you going to do with that? I'm going to punch? And it just struck me as so sad, and what fanfics actively work against. The point of a fanfic is not to make money. If you make money, Anne Rice will come after you. Not even kidding. There were legal battles. The point is to make community. To be like, you know what, I really love Supernatural, and I think Dean and this one monster from 2 seasons ago, make that 12 seasons ago, make a really good pair. Here's my story about it. No one makes money off that. But you make community. You make fans, you make friends. And at no point do you have to worry about the audience you're writing for, because you'll find an audience or you won't. You get comments, you get praise, you get criticism, you get trolls. You run the gamut. And never once do you have to feel like you're wasting resources. You're wasting time. I know people who have written fanfics, including the one I mentioned, that are longer on the whole than any one of the Harry Potter books. Think of the dedication, the time they put into that for the sheer joy of writing something that people write the comment of, oh my god, and that's the validation. That's the joy they get, is the chance to test a turn of phrase, to try a story, gets you the hell of it, and it works. And I find that art for the sake of art for the joy of creation, for the joy of, yeah, it's a terrible pun, and you just read it in my fanfic, I win. That's an incredible thing that I feel has been downplayed. Because how many of us, when we were little, Mom, I want to learn how to do sword fighting. Are you going to be a stuntman? No, go back to your math homework. Mom, I want to learn piano. Are you going to perform in concert halls? Get back to the math! Which math is its own form of art. But the arts just don't get to have the joy manifested unless, well, I set up an Etsy shop. Please stop asking me why I'm buying chainmail supplies now. Because it's fun. Like, I bought 6 pairs of pliers. 6. 3 of them are customized. For chainmail. I don't sell it. I literally give it away for fun. And do you know how many people give me the sod after that? Because, you know you can sell that, right? You know what I'm here. You know this is fun, right? You know they smile pretty big when I give that to them, right? And that's how it goes. And I found that encapsulates
my goodness, thank you so much.
Thank the fanfics.
I do. I express so much gratitude to them, channeled through you and brought into this space. Thank you so much. Up next, Andy is scrambling. Andy was not prepared for this. Andy is not. No, don't look at him. Nobody look at him while he's preparing for the
Everyone stare at him.
No, so, next we've got a thing that we like to do at our assemblies, which is called Life Habits, where if you came in, you saw the welcoming table, you have an opportunity to write about something that's happening in your life, good, bad, big, small. You put your name on it or not, and then someone, today is Andy, will come and read it aloud for all of us to understand and appreciate and have your experiences seen, whether it's with your name or not. So why don't we welcome up Andy as he comes up here, and I get a stool for him.
Thank you. I learned how to do this last time.
Okay.
We are very proud.
That's the wrong way. All right, let's see. Success?
Yes.
What did you say?
Success.
My middle name. Yeah, like Ross said, Life Happens box is at the welcome table, and it's an opportunity for us to jot down a little something particularly great or maybe not so great that's happened over the last month or so that we can kind of get caught up with each other. And so I will read them now. And you can put your name on them or remain anonymous. Did you say that? Anyway, I'm going to say it again. Or I said it again.
Claps or snaps?
Thank you very much. So Tim helped us that when there's something great that happens to one of our folks, we can clap for them. And if there's something that maybe is not so great, we give snaps instead. I'll leave it up to you to decide which way that goes. Let's see. This is from someone who chose to remain anonymous. This time last year, I was planning my suicide. This year, I'm living with my partner in a healthy relationship, and I'm in school to become a programmer. The darkest time in my life has led to the brightest dawn I've ever known. This card is from Ashley, who said, I don't know which Ashley, so we'll find out, or maybe not. I learned that a dear friend of mine from my years abroad is returning to the States to begin cancer treatment after several years of undiagnosed health issues. My heart hurts. This next card is from Ben, who says, thank you. This card is from Tim, who says, a little over 2 months ago, I got let go from my job. I've been struggling with depression, and I'm hoping to reconnect with the community after being away for a while. We're really both snaps and claps.
Can you do both at the same time?
Both at the same time. Slaps, is that? That's not good. No, we won't do it.
Is it schnapps?
Jared says, for 2 assemblies, I've been promising that I'd publish a collection of my short stories. It came out on time, and I have 3 copies to give away. I think this one's anonymous. Birthday wishes and gratitude. Happy birthday, Lauren Michaels. Thank you for Saturday Night Live. Happy birthday, Martin Scorsese. Thank you for not becoming a priest. This one is from Ross, who says, first time helping put on an assembly where I'm not playing the band at all. It feels weird, but needed on occasion to make space for other things in life and Sunday Assembly land. Thank you, Mom.
This one is from me, and I say, last month I had a great opportunity to step in and co-lead a class. What was most notable for me was the confidence that I brought to the situation before I even began. There was some discussion of my helping lead, and I agreed without hesitation. In the past, a lot of my fears would have held me back, but not this time. Yay for progress. And that's it. Thank you.
Stop being so tall.
I will not say anything. There's nothing wrong with being tall. All right, so, thank you. All right, Andy, you broke everything. Goodness. So, up next we have our second person from our community who will be sharing something lovely, and her name is Ashley. I am familiar. It's working out. No, it's not. It's fine. And she has props. I don't know which of them she will use. We will find out. We are going to find out. So, whenever she is ready, we will applaud her. She comes up on stage. We're doing it!
So my name is Ashley. I was grateful for the opportunity to reflect on what I'm grateful for and be able to share that with you. This last year has held a lot of changes, a lot of transition, a lot of difficulty for me in my life. And so when I think about where I was a year ago and where I am today, I'm kind of reflecting on some of the pieces that I am most grateful have been in place for me over the last year. That was what I really wanted to share with you, and it's a couple of different things. So I have a couple of drawings that kind of go with what we'll talk about. I call this triangles in the middle. So I learned, or maybe relearned yesterday, that triangles is apparently one of the strongest shapes in architecture, which prompted some of my thinking and some of my journaling around this idea. When I think about what has provided support and strength for me over the last year, it really distilled into three different things that I kind of call my cornerstones right now. So we start with the triangle. I am very recently into visual journaling, so I draw lots of pictures. I draw lots of stick figures as well. They may show up in this drawing in a moment. But this is kind of representing the triangle that has supported me over the last year. And these are the three pieces. So we'll start kind of in the bottom right, powerful habits. So those of you who have maybe been at some of the meditation events that we've done over the last couple of years may have heard me share about what I call Bremskameri. And it's my shorthand for a set of daily habits that I practice. And the one I really want to focus on is my journaling habit. And there is a stack of books here in the front. These represent 10 years of journaling for me. And these are like my most prized, or among my most prized possessions. This is what I will grab if my house is on fire. Because this is me in so many different ways. And as I was pulling these out, this is the first time I've actually pulled all of them out together in one spot. And as I was flipping through some of them and just noticing kind of the changes in me over the last 10 years, I noticed when I first started, it was very bulleted. It was like, I have to capture every experience. I have to record it all for posterity. Later on, it became all about bulleted lists that helped me process what was happening for me emotionally or for the changes in my life. There was a season where I shifted and started using a tool called the I feel statement that is used in wilderness therapy. And that was really what launched me into a lot of what has become very powerful journaling for me in transformative practice. And it was a simple structure. It was I feel this way when situation, I feel this way because I think, insert the thought. And my hope for myself is something, and my hope for others is something. And I have, I think, an entire journal that is just using that structure to help me figure out what was I actually feeling and what was the kind of fallout of that. What were the thoughts that fueled it and what was the hope that I had for myself. And I went through, and I just noticed this earlier today when I was flipping through them, I went through and I highlighted all the hopes for myself. And And it was such a gift to present me to be able to go back and look at me from 5 or 6 years ago and see what I hoped to be true and to notice what was different. And then we fast forward a couple of years and I was really influenced by the artist's way. And if any of you are familiar with that practice, it encourages just really stream of consciousness journaling, a couple pages in the morning. And that's still largely what I practice now. And so most of these journals are just filled with stream of consciousness writing. It's completely unfiltered. There is no one in my life who has permission to read these. And that's because this is where I let myself be whatever I am, wherever I am. I allow myself to discover who I am in so many ways. So this has become an incredibly strong practice for me. It's a way that I find out what's going on, and a way that I kind of answer really fundamental questions about myself. And I'm beyond grateful for the people, both authors and those in my life, who have kind of influenced me with this practice and made it so fundamentally transformative. The bottom left corner, powerful intimacy. And here's where some of my stick figures come in. Over the last kind of 6 or 7 years in particular, there have been a number of friendships that have grown and evolved that I call my team in a lot of ways. I have a support group that I've met with for about 4 or 5 years now that has become kind of one of the cornerstones of relationships in my life, where there's this incredible intimacy and holding and witnessing of each other through really challenging times in our lives. I also spent 3 years in a 12-step program where I learned about codependence, and I learned about how to challenge a lot of the beliefs that I had about myself or the way relationships needed to work. And that taught me how to be really vulnerable and transparent with people, with myself, with those in my life who had earned that trust. And also in settings where I have safety or I have processed what has happened in my life and to be able to share that with others. So powerful intimacy has been an incredible tool and practice in my life as well. And then powerful ideas. And these are not my ideas, these are other ideas that kind of come in, and maybe they're my ideas sometimes. But the insertion of a change in story, a change in how I think about what's happening in my life, what the narrative in my head is about what's happening, has become one of those cornerstones. Because I've learned in my practice as a person, as a coach, as a client of coaching, that it can take really, really subtle shifts to create really big changes in our lives. And so this is me in the middle of my very strong architectural shape of a triangle. And to kind of speak to some of these experiences, one of the simple examples that really resonates with this, one of the powerful ideas that has influenced me a lot, is the work of Brené Brown. And I think, let's see, we'll go here first. So Brené Brown talks about the middle. This is one way that she'll describe that in some of her writings, but it's this really uncomfortable middle space where we're kind of in the thick of it. We haven't made it to the other side. And for me, about 1.5 years ago, I was working on a plumbing project in my house. It involved soldering copper pipes. I am a big DIY person. I am very crafty and very good with my hands, usually, and I pick up kind of those types of skills pretty quickly. But when I was trying to learn to solder, my goodness, was it difficult and frustrating. And this is my probably 5th or 6th attempt. And for anybody who actually knows what it should look like, this is not what it should look like. In fact, the solder is just chunky and all over the place, and I accidentally dropped one of these pieces and they just fell apart on the floor, which did not obviously bode well for any of the other connections that I had tried to make that I was about to put in my wall and have water run through. This was incredibly frustrating to me. It was a simple thing, but over the course of the week where I was really intensely doing this, I dropped solder on my thumb, which is very hot. That bubbled up into a beautiful blister. I was at Home Depot so many times. I watched all the YouTube videos, and I was just really struggling with it. And I eventually did figure it out, and going out of order in my slides here. This is my beautiful valve that I cut a hole open in my wall to access, and to this day, water flows through it. And in reflecting on that experience, I wrote something on what was my then blog that I wanted to share with you. Brené Brown talks about being in the middle in her book, Rising Strong. It's the hard, mucky, unclear section of struggle, where you've plunged in and fought hard, but haven't yet reached the other side, where you have all that beautiful hindsight and pride. The middle sucks. The middle is where our inner critics come out swinging. The middle is where real, honest growth happens. The middle is what thickens us and teaches us who we are, and it's usually painful. After struggling so much with learning to solder, I was feeling very defeated. After the third failed soldering job, I took a few days off, told myself that I was in the middle, but the middle sucks, but that I would eventually get through the middle. When I was sitting in the bathtub watching my valve connection leak, I told myself I was in the middle. It didn't make me feel better, but it made me willing to keep pushing. It made me respect myself and rally my courage. When you make it to the other side of the middle, well, that's truly satisfying. Even though it was arguably a small thing, it's by practicing the skills of rising from defeat during the small defeats that make us more resilient when the serious knocking down defeats of life come along. Going through the middle is the only way to get to the other side. So practice some self-care when the middle feels overwhelming, tend to the story you're telling, and trust that the middle doesn't last forever. So my pipes were a practice round, I've learned, because the last year of my life has been the hardest year of my life. In this year, I have faced incredibly hard work situations, toxic work culture that challenged every part of what was rooted insecurities that forced me to show up in ways that were very personally and professionally challenging. It was physically difficult. I had health issues that came up that I was dealing with over the last year. And then it was relationally devastating. I lost someone very, very dear to me about a year ago. And so the journey of the last year has shown me in so many ways what I am made of and what I am not. And it has brought me to my triangle, that this powerful idea of being in the middle and just make it through. Just make it through the middle. It won't last forever. Whatever the other side is, there is another side to it. That powerful idea combined with a powerful practice of journaling, combined with powerful people in my life, created a foundation that was shaken but strong. And it helped. And I don't know that I'm quite out of the middle, but I'm through a section of it. And my journals remind me of that. And so one of the things that I want to share, and I think I'm almost out of time, but I'm going to do it anyway. One of the practices I had early this year was writing one line of poetry every day. It was one of the ways that I was journaling. And a couple months into this year, I took a lot of those lines of poetry, I kind of rearranged them into something that flowed. And I turned it into art that I want to share with you. So I also dabble with visual art. So this has the poem that goes with it embedded in the back. And this represents grief. And if any of you have experienced grief, which is all of you, I hope some piece of this resonates for you. I call this Create from Every Ache. Grief is a hard roommate. Its silence is filled with noise. Oh love, when did my kiss become your trauma? Rage floods through the hole rent by loss and leaves me aching, weary, lonely, amidst the room. Whether it's you or me doesn't matter. I cannot change either, and I'm heartbroken. They say that time heals, but time also kills. So which is it now? One day drifts into another, and I start to forget what a happy home feels like. I ache to notice myself normalizing to pain, to what has been lost. I am trapped in your nightmare, and I want out. There is no one to blame. We don't choose when the gods visit us, when our foundations shift. What if we stop trying to fix ourselves? Will you still love me? Will I? Once memory fades, my body will still hold the history of this grief. Yet I am not fooled. I know that winter's tree will be burdened again. So I hold my own gaze in the mirror until my eyes fill with compassion, then fill with tears. So I am grateful for my triangle. I am grateful for practices that let me notice where I was and notice where I no longer am. I am grateful for incredible communities, both small and larger, that allow us to share and be who we are and find comfort. And for people who are bold with their ideas that share those that create really fundamental shifts in many of us. Thank you for letting me share with you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ashley, my love. It was a symbol of support and caring, y'all. Jeez. Okay, fine. Let me make it weird. Okay. So, after that deep and heartfelt moment of sharing and vulnerability, I want to ask you for money. No, like joking aside, right? Like Sunday Assembly Atlanta requires funds to continue to operate, to have the space, to have the equipment we have, to be able to perform this music for you, and to be able to have a reach that gets people to come and find this space where they can feel safe, feel a sense of gratitude for what is here. So the thing that we've stopped doing recently is passing a basket around for cash, and in replacing of that are these ways of donating that I would highly encourage you, I ask you to, if you can, donate to us. Our website, sundayassemblyatlanta.org, has a big old donate button right there. I think it's big and green. If it's not green, it'll say donate on it. Like, please, I mean, if it's not green, I'm sorry. I really hope it's green. And we've got PayPal, we have Venmo, we have credit card readers back there. That might be best for potluck times. And apparently I need to update our website because I still say that cash works. Oh no, it still works because we have a box over by the potluck table and welcome table. So, all of that is welcome. Please, it's the way that we continue to operate. And if you would like to, it's a great time to do it because we're going to have the band come back up. This is the invitation for the band to come back up. For another great song that we've done, I know, several times. It's a favorite, right? And I don't know, is this one? I think people, yeah, I'll let you play it. So, this will soon depart, so if you need to take note of it, please do. So I'm going to pass this over to someone to do slides. All right, it is Jared. It is done.
Okay. This next number we're going to do is one that we actually first discovered a couple years ago. We had an assembly where we had examined our own values as a community at Sunday Assembly, and this was one of the ones that was suggested by one of our band members who has moved somewhere. But so I was so grateful for that because this has become one of my favorite songs. And I love it. I'm not going to ask you all to stand up. If you know it, feel free to sing along. This is the kind of song where if you have a Zippo lighter, you might want to flip it up, or like they do nowadays, to take your phone. If you ever feel moved to do this during the song, please do so, because the name of the piece is Scare Away the Dark.
Without
If we all light up, we can scare away the dark.
Marla knows what's next. Marla is ready. Okay. Yeah, so we'll let the band take another break. They'll be back for the end. And we've got a bit of a, well, I guess Marla, you're going to say most of this in the beginning, huh? Yeah, all right. Marla feels confident enough. She doesn't need me. I'm not needed anymore, apparently. Everyone just can just do without me. That's fine. I'll just get sad. Okay. Well, why don't we welcome Marla with some applause as she comes out.
So gratitude is what we're talking about today, right? Gratitude. This is what I thought when I first learned about gratitude practices. I got a little more than that. But it just seemed like, oh, there's kids here. It seemed like sweet. But then I learned about neuroplasticity and how our brains change based on how we use them. So the way we are thinking now is not the way we need to think in the future. It can change. And that seemed pretty interesting when I first learned about it. And then I learned about how our brains understand the world by forming stories. And so what that means is we really like books and movies and things like that because it makes things make sense to us and it's very satisfying. And we sometimes make a little mistake with that because we force fit the information that we have into a story that makes sense to us. We have to. Our brains can't quite process without that. So sometimes we make mistakes. And another shortcoming of our brains, anybody get mad at me now for like saying our brains aren't really as powerful as we like to believe they are?
My brain is offended.
Our brains are offended. Our brains can't actually process all the data that's coming in. And we aren't even aware of what we ignore. So think about things like the shortcuts we use to not have to process that guy talking on the sidewalk really loud on his cell phone while we're trying to get to work. Our brains just don't even take that information in. And we get to focus then on our driving or whatever is really important. And our brains save us from that. Give you time to listen to your podcast maybe. Sorry, I figured out what I want to say and had no time to work with this, so I'm figuring out as I go, I'm sorry. Okay, here's something I'd like us to do. Just take 10 seconds and look around and count as many red things as you can. Okay, stop. So how many purple things did you see?
So many.
How many maroon things did you see and decided those were actually red? Or maybe pink things that you decided were actually red? That's another thing. That's another shortcut our brain takes is selective attention is the psychological term for that. And it's just a bias where we see what we expect to see. We see what we're looking for. Maybe you guys have seen the experiments that are done where subjects are asked to look at something in particular and they absolutely don't notice that gorilla that comes right in front of them. Have you seen that? It's the gorilla's there plain as day, but they're looking for a certain thing. They have an expectation that they're going to find a certain thing. And so they miss something as big and absurd as a gorilla. So, all feel a little bit differently. Neuroplasticity, our brains running on stories, the shortcuts we take to deal with more data, maybe understand that a gratitude practice is a really great way to land yourself in a better world. Just by breaking the habit of noticing what's wrong and building a habit of noticing what's good in your life, the things you're grateful for. So, because we like stories, I want to give you an example. I'm going to read you a story. A man jumps out of bed, afraid he's going to be late for work. He runs out the door without coffee or breakfast and drives quickly to the office. On the way, he comes really close to going into a fire hydrant and thinks about how the last thing he needs right now is an insurance claim. And to do an insurance claim, have his rates go up. When he gets to work, he's called into a meeting with his boss, who has notes for him on a project he just turned in. His boss feels the man missed the point of the project and he has to start over. So the man goes back to his desk, sighs deeply, before he gets the daunting task of pleasing his boss. What's your impression of this man and his life? Do you want to live in his world? Maybe not. Here's another version of the same story. The man wakes up to his two children jumping on the bed, laughing and hugging him. They joyfully tell him about their dreams and plans for the day. He keeps an eye on the clock and doesn't leave until the last possible moment to get to work on time. He skips breakfast because intermittent fasting is working really well for him, and he no longer even needs coffee. On the way to the office, a dog dashes into the street and he successfully misses it. And he's really grateful that it didn't result in an accident because he's saving up for his surprise 25th anniversary trip to Paris with his wife. At work, his boss apologizes because he got some new information about the project the man had just turned in, and unfortunately it means the whole thing has to be started over from scratch. The boss says he has cleared the decks so the man can dedicate the whole day to his project, because after all, he's the most competent employee on the team, and the boss knows he's the only one who can do it. Same story, right? But if you notice different things, if you connect the dots differently, you are living a different life. So, gratitude practice. We're going to do a gratitude practice.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to read Marla's third page.
Do it,
Marla,
do it.
Yeah, our intention, you're going to give that to Andy because he's got some baskets. Yeah, no?
We're actually doing something that we didn't tell you about.
Okay, we're doing something I didn't know about. So, I don't have a clicker and you put it on the piano, so you're going to need to do that today. Yay! So, I'm going to ask you to do something, which the slide tells you, but I'm going to read from this paper instead. And it is basically to ask yourself, how fully you agree with the following statements from 0 to 100%. I am satisfied with my life. And you can make a note of that answer. Okay.
Pull out your phone and on your calendar, write a number between 1 and 100.
Ooh.
But how satisfied you are with your life right now.
And make sure it's really cryptic, like just a number, and then no one will have any clue. Well, you'll remember. If you don't remember, it came something somewhere. So, for the next week, or until the next assembly, your choice. We invite you to take one of these tokens that are going to be passed around.
So they're coming up to pass out the
Okay. Okay, Marla's jumping in. This is not a jump.
So there's these tokens, but before you start taking those tokens, I want you to know you're going to be keeping these tokens with you for a while if you decide to play along. We have some that are smaller, so if you'd rather have a smaller one, come get it from me instead of the basket. There's not enough in the basket for everybody. Or, if you think it would help you to have a really big token, we have a couple of really big tokens. So this is first come, first served, 2 giant tokens. So,
If you're super grateful.
if you're super grateful, or if you're willing to keep this token in front of you in a really big way. But the smaller ones, if you want to trade in for a slightly smaller one, if you want to have it in your pocket or something. There's also more of you here tonight. I'm so grateful. There's more people tonight than we were expecting when we were printing the tokens. So we might run out if you don't take a small one or a giant one. And I'm also grateful for Andy, who slaved over a hot 3D printer all week making these.
Yeah. Yay! And to be clear, I think that was a mix of both sarcasm and genuine appreciation. But yeah, who took one?
No.
Andy's giving me the stink eye. Okay, so, and the idea of these, by the way, so I hope you know, y'all took one. Like, they're pretty cool 3D printed things, so please take them. And the idea is that you're gonna, you know, if you'd like to take part in this, hang on to this. Have it with you in your day-to-day life, right? So whether it's in your pocket, in your keychain, purse, necklace, they're very stylish. They're like, so come next year, these are going to be, you're gonna be ahead of the curve, just to be clear. I'm totally ahead of the curve with these things. You're gonna find, what is it, like every time you see it or touch it, in that moment, try to find something that you're grateful for, right? Consider that and try to make it. And hold that idea in your mind for a couple of moments. Maybe notice some details or contemplate the place it holds in your life. And over time, consider if the answer to this question changes. And whether that's day-to-day or over a long period of time.
You can choose your time period in this experiment. This experiment is terribly scientific.
Okay, so we're doing the second half of this now, which is that we're going to ask you to find, you want to find groups of four, but you're doing it in a fancy way. Which
Yes,
you with
pair up with somebody near you that you don't already know. Go ahead and do that.
All right,
I've got one other person.
let's do this. So we're going to So, thank you very much. We have something related to the tokens that you just received that we're trying. I think it should be kind of fun. We are doing a social media contest. And it's pretty simple. All you're going to do is, if you took one of those tokens, which, hey, there's still some here, including the super giant ones that none of y'all took, and you should take them and hang them up on your wall. So, thank goodness. Thank you. Yay! I don't know how good of a frisbee they are, but it's worth trying. So, we're trying this contest. It's really simple. If you want to take part, you can share it on social media, whatever platform you like, as long as it's one of the main three ones that we all, unfortunately, spend a lot of time on, about something that you're grateful for between now and the next assembly. Include a photo of your little token, and make sure to tag us so that we see it. And if you want to tag us on Instagram or the Twitters, that is SA Atlanta. And on Facebook, it's really annoying and complicated. You apparently have to start typing at Sunday Assembly, and then you have to find us in the drop-down. It's super great, and I really like Facebook, and it's totally not destroying our democracy. So, but if you do that, then we will see it. So please do that. I literally had to try that today. It was really dumb. We're going to have two winners. One is randomly chosen from anybody who shares, and one is for anything that's like really fun and creative, and we'll pick from those. So, you are welcome to do that. It should be pretty simple, pretty fun. I know I'm going to do it. And if you really want tokens again, grab them there. And then the prize will be from a mystery box, and that is a mystery box with little squiggles and in italics, so you know it's cool. With fun and unique prizes, which we already have a decent amount in mind, and so we're going to probably keep doing this over time, if folks like it. I hope you do, because I think it'll be kind of fun. So, announcements part 2, the usual stuff. We got other events that happen. It's not just a Sunday assembly. We have a band that practices once a month, and we're going to be doing the Yule Rock next month. That's our usual December thing, lots of music and potluck and good stuff. And so there's going to be an extra bonus number of songs probably, right? So now's a great time to hop on in, whether you like Feliz Navidad or Weezer's The Sweater Song. Anything works for wintry sounding songs. We have mindfulness meditation groups. We've got one that's on Mondays in Northwest Atlanta, and that's the one that Ashley hosts often, and she's back there. And then we have the Wednesday one that kind of floats around. And so if you were interested in that, please join and attend. They're always really interested in finding places that can like rotate through and more folks who are interested. We have our Sunday Assembly 101 coffee talk. It's really simple. Once a month we go to a coffee shop and you either just hang out, or it's a great place for new folks to come by and be like, all right, what is this weird thing y'all do? And we can tell you and show you that we're not weird, except sometimes. And last but not least, we got a documentary night. This is with multiple groups. It's going to be at the UU Northwest Atlanta, and we're going to be watching Mr. Rogers' documentary, and that's on Friday, December 13th. As I said, the next assembly, Yule Rock, lots of music, lots of good times. Same place, same time, third Sunday of the month, 5:30. We're also having our holiday potluck. This is a thing we do on Christmas evening. So this is for folks who either just want something to do on the holidays, something extra, or if you're someone who doesn't celebrate and you want a place to come together when everybody else is coming together, this is a great place to do that. There's going to be other groups. The Atlanta Free Thought Society joins us. Black Non-Believers joins us. We have Atlanta Atheist folks join us. And it's really lovely. And that happens at the Rush Center. We are contemplating music. We are contemplating live performances. We're not sure about that, but maybe. And I want to say thank you for being a part of our community. We're all last race of gratitude here, and that's the name of the game. So I do believe the next thing that's going to happen is that the band's going to come up here and send us off with some good music. So I'm going to hit this button, and they're going to get up here, and I heard this song. I don't think I knew this song, but the way they're performing this song rules, okay? This is really good. And so I would highly, please join us. Stand on up when they're ready, and let's get ready.
I've been instructed to tell you to grab some tambourines. I believe they're right there. I see one over here. This is a tambourine song. Yeah, it occurs to me that being in a cover band is kind of like musical therapy.
That's good.
We sing songs every month. Some of them we try to be on the topic of the thing we're talking about at once. Sometimes it's just about coming together and being a group. Sometimes we pick a song just because it rocks and we want to rock. This falls into that category. So I hope you enjoy it. This is the Moody. compliment and appreciate the beauty that is Dan's drum kit. This isn't the one we normally bring that we know. This is the one. Okay, we went to the reassembly in Nashville, big convention of all the assemblies in but there's a lot of the assemblies out there. And the Assembly Nashville band played this next song, and Anna and me heard it and said, we have to do this. So, and we never heard it before, but we sang along there, so as soon as you figure out, feel free to sing along here. This is Afterlife by Ingrid.
Thank you so very much for coming.